Hello and welcome to this episode of Vitam Virtual. My name is Matthijs de Vries from Vitam International. Today we will be focusing on bird gut health, how to prevent damaging of the gut, and gut integrity. In the studio, I have Dr. Armin Bernabia, Research and Development Manager of Norfeed. Hello Armin, welcome here.
Hello, and thank you for having me today.
Armin, gut health play a key role in bird health and production and for birds to reach their genetic potential.
For sure, gut is the largest surface in the body if we take the villi, and it's a large surface of exchange and contact with our external environment. In addition to that, nutrient digestion and absorptions occurs inside the gut. And last but not least, a big part of the immune system of the birds occurs inside the gut. So due to all of that, of course, gut plays an important role when it comes to gut health and also to reach the productivity of the birds.
I mean, what are the typical factors that damage the gut?
Well, as it is a large surface, there are many factors that can impact either positively or negatively the gut. There are some factors, that can impact it in a direct way, like, for example, mycotoxins, feed quality. And there are some other factors, for example, that can impact it in an indirect way, like, for example, bad ventilation, high temperature, and so on. And of course, last but not least, microorganisms like bacteria, viruses, and parasites like coccidiosis can impact in a very negative way the gut health and, by the way, the productivity of the animals.
Coccidiosis is always a big problem. What causes coccidiosis?
Yes, of course, it's a big problem. Since the industry appears of poultry production, coccidiosis appears with it. So what causes coccidiosis is an apicomplex parasites. What we have to know by these parasites, it has two stages in its development. One outside the bird and another one inside the bird. And it's very important because we need to have solution that helps to control inside the bird, in the gut, but managing the environment and having a good quality of raising birds is also important when it comes to coccidiosis management.
What is the economical impact of coccidiosis, even on a subclinical level?
Well, there are a lot of studies that try to estimate the economical cost of coccidiosis on broiler chicken flocks. However, the latest one, made by Blake et al., was very interesting because they took many parameters in order to evaluate this cost. They took the chemoprevention, they took medication in case we have clinical coccidiosis and the mortality, but the most important impact will be when we have subclinical coccidiosis, like you mentioned, because we are going to pay that in an increase of feed conversion ratio. It means that you're going to spend more feed to have the live weight, the targeted live weight, and of course we are going to have a lose in average daily gain. And here is really impact that we don't see because in the bird there is nothing.
But how can we control the disease and how can we minimize our losses?
There are many solutions. Since the 40s, we started to control the disease using chemicals and ionophores. However, as it was well described by a latest review of Dr. Chapman in 2019, resistance appears more or less rapidly. So we had to deal with some shuttle programs, rotation programs in order to deal with that. Now, thanks to research and development in the field, there are new tools that allow us to control this disease. Vaccine, when they are well used, can be very useful, even if sometimes we have some loss in FCR, and sometimes also it has been described that we have some necrotic enteritis outbreak, but they still are a good tool to include in a cocci management program. And last but not least, well-standardized, qualified botanicals can be very useful when it comes to control coccidiosis.
What kind of program do you recommend to control coccidiosis?
Well, remember I started by stating that there are two phases in the life cycle of the parasites. There is one inside the bird and one outside the bird. The last one is the first. So when it comes to control coccidiosis, we have to think globally. We have to take care of our environment, our house, our litter, and also we have to take care what happens inside the birds. And here we have also an action. We can vary the molecules that we are going to use in our feed. We can make bioshuttles also. And in the last conference in Cartagena last year, Dr. Chapman said that the key is to take off resistance pressure. In other words, when we are going to give some rest if we can say, use this word, to ionophores and chemical, using other solutions like botanicals, for example, we are going to restore the sensitivity of emeria in our building. So the best program, this is really a tough question, Matthias. The best program, I will say, is the vet nutritionist or farmer program, because there are now two farms that are similar, and even inside the same farm, we can find that one house can be different from the others. So the best program is the farmer's program or the vet's program or the nutritionist program. However, programs can share some elements in common. We have to rotate, we have to make bioshuttle, and of course we have to include new solution in order to be really more agile. And in addition to that, very important, we are not going just to focus on the feed. Playing on the environment and management of the house condition is very important when it comes to manage coccidiosis.
You mentioned botanical products. What is important to consider using such a product in a program?
That's a good question, Matthias. Thank you for asking it. We see this last year many products on the market claiming that they are green, saying that they are 100% natural and so on. That's a good thing. It means that mentalities are changing. However, we have to be really careful when it comes to use of botanicals. Quality really matters. As a vet, I would like to know what I'm going to put to my animals. It means that characterization of the botanicals is very important to know what is inside. Second, you know that most of the active compounds of botanicals are secondary metabolites. What does that mean? It means that they are not always synthesized in the same amount. Sometimes, for example, we will have a lot of polyphenols or saponins in a plant, and in another season we don't have enough. And standardization of this botanical is very important in order to give and to guarantee a constant amount of active compounds batch after batch. I remember that we made some survey and the vets answered us, botanicals are good, but sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And one of the answers is that the active compounds, sometimes they are in sufficient quantities and sometimes they aren't. And here it comes the importance of standardization when it comes to botanical use.
Norfit specialize in botanical solutions. Do you have a product that you will recommend in a cocci program that can fit in a cycle over a year time?
Well, we mentioned that cocci is a major issue when it comes to broiler industry. And Norfit, as a company that wants to support animal industry, we cannot stay without formulating a solution for that. We started working on that since 2008. We had a PhD thesis on that. The first step was to identify what are the different molecules that can help. So we make a screening of many molecules following many criteria. Of course, safety is important, efficacy, but also it has to be available. We can find a very nice plant, but if it grows only in Amazonia and we have to destroy this environment in order to get this plant, it doesn't make sense. So following this criteria, we end up with a bunch of plants. The second phase was to test these plants. Are they efficient? So we tested them in vitro at the first time to see if there is any efficiency, and we selected another group of plants. And we formulated many formula. And the most successful one that we get was the blend of Yucca shadiguera and also Tregonella fenugrecum. We patented this formulation, and the phase 3 was to test this formulation in a controlled condition. It means that we challenged the bird with Coccidia emeria, and we see if there is any efficacy in improving gut health and recover the loss of performances that are due to the Emeria infestation. And the last phase that started since 2018, we are doing what we call the large-scale trials in real commercial condition. And now we are very satisfied because we have many positive feedback, and we are able today to claim that feed supplementation with norponin XO2 is as efficient as chemical and or ionophores in the field condition.
How can norponin benefit the farmer?
Good. Before answering your question, I want to mention the fact that today, people that are buying norponin XO2, they are not only had the pressure to take off their coccidiostat, they are also asking for more agility. So the benefits of using norponin XO2 supplementation in your cocci program are multiple. The first one, we spoke about taking off the pressure of selection from the ionophores and chemical. So making one flock or making a bioshuttle with norponin XO2 will help you to achieve this target. Second, norponin XO2 also can offer you more agility, because when you have a new additional tool that you can lean on, you can have a better way to manage your cocci program based on 1 year, 1 year and a half, or at least 2 years. And last but not least, I spoke about phase 4 in the development of norponin XO. And you know what we get out from this phase 4? In addition to the fact that supplementation with norponin XO2 is as efficient as ionophores and chemical, we observed that flocks with norponin XO2 had less mortality compared to the flocks that receive ionophores and chemicals. So it was quite astonishing results. We shared that with some experts, and they said that's quite interesting. You have to keep in mind that these molecules are still xenobiotics, and the bird have to detoxify from these molecules. And you know that the most organs that are implicated in the detoxification process are liver and kidney. These two organs are already highly solicited for the fast-growing birds. And the fact that you are going to take off this pressure also of detoxifying, it means that you are going to increase the livability on your flocks. We did a meta-analysis based on 9 trials, commercial trials, and we found out that when we have norponin XO in the field, we have 35 less mortality compared to ionophores and or chemicals. And that's also an extra benefit that farmers, vets or nutritionists using norponin XO can expect.
Thank you for your time today and share your knowledge today.
Thank you, Matthias. It's my pleasure.
What stands out for me today is we need to find alternative solutions for cocci management due to resistance build-up. Call us today for an effective natural solution, norponin XO. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and make sure not to miss an episode of Vitam Virtual.